President Donald Trump, as you know, hammering now on the issue of the wide open border, which is clearly the policy of the Biden administration. That's why he's hammering on it. It's a top concern for Americans. Number one, in fact, for just about every American that you ask when it comes to polling. And they want a leader who cares about the objectives, who doesn't avoid calling illegal behavior illegal. That's just one of the many reasons and the differences between Trump and Biden. It's one of the many reasons people are saying Donald Trump is better equipped to get this under control. Trump isn't afraid to call evil evil and actually punish people who do things like break the law, even while his enemies use every lawfare weapon they can muster against him. Join me now live to discuss the importance of this year's race. Longtime advisor to the president, Bruce Levell. Bruce, nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve.
You know, Ruby Garcia was a young woman murdered in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Donald Trump came to Michigan on Tuesday. We all had the opportunity to talk to him. I did on Monday at length and saw him briefly on Tuesday as well. These sorts of stories, whether they get covered in the national news media or not, are picked up locally. That story, the story of Lake and Riley in Georgia, people know in their neighborhood that these things are happening, and it changes minds. And most importantly, Bruce, it changes the minds of those suburban moms that can be so critical to how the election turns out in November. They're worried about the safety of themselves, their family, their community. It's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You know, speaking of Lake and Riley, that's 35 minutes up the road. My family members were, their former alma mater is the University of Georgia. You saw the mayor of Athens come out and do a press conference and trying to redirect on how it's the illegal alien immigrant is described instead of being honest about wanting to strengthen our borders to protect our fellow American citizens, not to mention our students in our universities. But you saw that craziness. But it also shows you the mindset of this liberal ideology that's going on across the nation. And also real quick too, Steve, you got to remember, as I always say, follow the money. Look at the huge special interest money coffers who are funding these particular mayors, district attorneys, what we're dealing with down here, obviously with Fannie Fani Willis, Letitia James, and many more across the country. So this is a very collaborative effort, unfortunately, to minimize and change the concept of the narrative, as you might say, on how we describe the invasion, and as well as the other things that are going on that are totally contrary to the best interests of the United States. And that's what we have in the Oval Office. So it's so sad. So the only antidote is November and many other races for that matter.
I spoke to General Jack Bergman. He represents Michigan's 1st congressional district. I saw him on Tuesday, spoke to him for a bit. I said, is there going to be an impeachment? He says, no, there's not going to be an impeachment. Absolutely not. The impeachment comes November the 5th. And I agree with him on that. Don't play games with back and forth. We've got the evidence. We know that the Biden family has checks and money flowing in, and they've done nothing to receive that money. We know they're corrupt. But I want to ask you about something here that's come up the last couple of days. Another dishonest twisting of the narrative by the mainstream media, and that is use of the word animals. Donald Trump said that the people that come into this country and murder Lake and Riley or Miss Garcia, that these people are animals. I think that is an apt description. And, of course, they just want to say he calls all immigrants animals. That is a blatant lie. He calls the people that kill our children with drugs and violence and drunk driving, all that. Those people are animals. And I agree with him, Bruce.
Yeah, well, it's nothing new. Remember, in 2015, on the coalition, I had to deal with Mexico is sending its rapists. It's like, no, they're not. There are people that are illegally coming over that are, so we can go down the list on terms of how the mainstream media has taken every particular statement that President Trump has made and craft it, and they all huddle up, Steve, like, all right, this is going to be the play, and they go back out there and pitch it out there. And we deal with Charlottesville and many others, as well as the bloodbath comment. You see where that was going, and of course we turned it around and used it to our favor. So listen, it's only going to intensify as we get closer to November. So Real America Voice viewers and y'all watching this, get ready. This is just the tip of the iceberg, what's to come. But I'm very optimistic. We're going to be strong. Steve, when you were talking before I came on the show, I almost felt like you needed some background music when you were coming into the teaser that I had. I was like, man, I feel like singing a background song for Steve and to the Republic for which it stands. So I'm optimistic.
One nation.
Yeah,
under
that American
God.
people are gonna
Yeah,
come
you got
together.
that right.
We're going to get through this.
Yeah,
though.
and
We are.
we do have to stand together. $65 million the whole last month I just saw. So, and by the way, the majority of that money coming from people giving $200 or less.
Yeah.
Total opposite. Joe Biden has to call in Barack Obama and Bill Clinton
Yeah.
to try to get some money. There's a weakness in funding. There's a weakness in support from Hispanic voters, black voters, young voters. American voters are saying no to this chaos, to this failure at the border. Bidenomics, which, by the way, you don't hear anymore, the greatest term ever, apparently has become toxic. Why? Because the economy, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, yeah, the economy sucks for most people, Bruce. That's the word I'm looking for. I mean, they can't afford to put gas in their car and put groceries. Yeah, $100, what's it buy you? Anyhow, I'll give you the last word.
Well, the last word is you saw going to Five Guys and Chick-fil-A, some of the favorite fast food places. They're $20. They're 19 to your point. The high taxes. And one indication real quick, in the jewelry business I'm in for 29 years, I'm linked to a lot of different guys because we're in discretionary income spending business. I'm starting to hear, and you saw this big report yesterday where a lot of people are starting to cash in certain types of items because they need money. And that's a telltale sign. You see the gold price, 2,200, projected to go even a little higher. So hold on. This is what's going on. It's not going to get any better under the Biden policies. It's going to get worse, unfortunately. But I just believe we can't get to November fast enough, to be honest with you, Steve.
Yeah, when the pawn shops see the Rolexes rolling in the way they are, that's a warning sign. When gold's at 2,200, a lot of people say it could be 33, 34, 3,500 by late this year. That's a warning sign, Bruce. Seeing Joe Biden teeter out in front of anybody, that's a big warning sign. Bruce, thank you for being here as always. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.